What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Monday night. We've moved schedules around on you guys enough at this point. I apologize for that. Typically, nothing but rants. You know, the show where I bring you passionate topics, or topics that I'm ultimately passionate about, I should say, and I rant upon them. Typically, it's for Sunday nights. Monday nights is a Patreon-only film study, and Wednesday nights I bring you another film study. But this week's schedule is a little bit altered due to Born to Compete. Shout out to Alex Benson. I was hosting that awards gala last night, so got to see up close and personal the next wave of big-time Power 5 prospects out of the state of Georgia and bordering states as well. Saw some young men from Alabama and Tennessee last night at Born to Compete. Feel free to check those guys out over at born2compete.com. Not here to spread any love or too much love elsewhere, but Alex Benson does a great job. Head coach Kirby Smart actually made an appearance last night via Zoom. So a lot of great information given out last night at that awards gala and some awards for some really young, great football players. But tonight's show, super loaded, super jam-packed for you guys, and I'm stoked to bring it to you. I'm going to break down this whole star and ranking system. I get a lot of questions about it from players and parents, so I'm going to be honest and upfront with you and forthcoming about how the process works, how the industry works, because I feel like a lot of people don't really know the behind the scenes of that. I'm going to tell you why expectations are a good thing for Georgia, and I'm going to bring you a pretty staunch comparison to what I think it's like for Georgia fans, especially heading into this 2021 season. And of course, I'm going to bring you my thoughts on Rick Gilbert, and that tonight is where we're going to start. A little production note for you, Dicko. Let's fade that out with next time. Let's not hard drop it. Let's be a little bit professionally clean cut out here. We are taking phone calls tonight from the OGs. They got the phone number over there on patreon.com. And if you're not already, please sign up. Patreon.com/Brooks Austin. It's where you get all the spicy nugs. Wendy's style. Now McDonald's has got some too, but it's where you get the nuggets of information, all that good stuff that we put out, all the private, secret behind the scenes information going on up at the Georgia program. You'll find it there first over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. So if you're not joining there, and you don't just get the nugs, you don't just get the film breakdowns, but you get a little bit more access to our community. That's what we're creating over there, a football community. It's a family environment, and we have a great time. We hang out in that Discord all the time. And if you are a member of our Patreon account and not a member of our Discord community, hit me up over on Patreon. We got to get you in there. You are missing out on the best part of your experience, I would say, with Patreon. Am I right, Dicko? Excuse me. Dicko. It's how we found Dicko. It's how I found my producer. Reached out to him through Discord. We had some guys help us out filming Malachi Singleton's Breaking the Huddle episode the other day from the Discord channel. So shout out to you guys, Justin and Damian. Appreciate you for showing up last week. So some personal shout outs for you guys. But let's get right into these thoughts on Rick Gilbert. Everybody wants to know where he's going, what's happening with him. Not here to really talk about that. I'm more here to talk about tonight a larger looming concern about college football in general. Okay, about what's going on with these young men and how they're being handled and really how they're being treated and what it ultimately, how it takes a toll on these young individuals. And please remember that they are young. Okay, they are very, very young, most of these individuals. So I was talking to a member of our SI-99, not the other day, but a couple of months ago, prior to him making his college decision. And I, was trying to set up a film session with him, get some things filmed for him, get some photos taken of him for his commitment that he was ultimately going to be making. And I was just talking to him, and I was like, man, look, I tried to hit you up to get this thing scheduled, called your phone a couple times. What's going on, man? Is there something going on with your phone? Do I need to just reach out to you, whether it be Instagram or Twitter? How do I need to get in contact with you? And he said, honestly, Coach, my phone's been on Do Not Disturb for the last 6 months. It's been on Do Not Disturb for the last 6 months. And I said, why? And he goes, Coach, if I didn't put it on Do Not Disturb, the thing would ring constantly. I would not be able to get anything done. I would be constantly stuck in my phone, answering phone calls, answering text messages, responding to media members, doing this with Coach X, doing this with Coach Y, answering a FaceTime message from Coach Z. And it's too much for me. I just have to, I can't deal with it anymore. I'm heading into my senior year. I'm about to make my college decision. I'm just tired, Coach. It's just too much on me. Some of these players, they have 2 or 3 cell phones, 2 or 3 of them. They come to their coaches and they say, Coach, I need another phone. I just need a phone where my mom and my dad and my girlfriend and my buddies We can talk, and I don't have to worry about getting a phone call every 5 minutes from the coach from South Florida or from the coach from Alabama or from the coach from Michigan. I just need something that I can take my mind off of what's going on that other phone. I need a second phone. And then the second phone's phone book fills up and contact book and contact list fills up quickly. And then it's, Coach, I need a third one. It's just too much for me. There's too much going on. There's too many people pulling at me. There's too many guys pulling strings on me right now. And look, as humans, we all want to be wanted, right? Something about our human nature. We want to be loved. We want people to aspire to, need us, right? It's weird. It's the way we're built. I can't explain it, but at some point, there's got to be a threshold, right? At some point, there's got to be a line that it's just too much. You cross over, and it can really impact your mental health. It can impact how you're handling things in between the ears, and things can get a little bit too much for you, okay? You start feeling levels of anxiety that you've never felt before. They are human. These young men are human. You've got to understand that. And they're young ones. They're still in developmental phases. So when they start feeling anxiety, they don't know what to do. They've never felt it. Everywhere else they go, when they play football, it's natural. Some of them, when they go to class, it's easy. They're smart people. They pick it up easily. And then all of a sudden, the biggest decision of their life is super highly prioritized. And there's super heavy lights and cameras on them at all times. And anxiety begins to build, right? We don't do enough. We don't do a good enough job of talking about this, of just having a mental health conversation about 18 and 19. And when they're in high school, we're getting recruited 16 and 17 and 18-year-old young men and women that are getting phone calls constantly of people wanting something from them, of people asking something of them. It's not easy. Okay, I know when I was 18 or 19 years old, my brain was swirling constantly. Everything was the end of the world. Everything was the biggest decision of my life. Whether I was going to stay in school at school X or whether or not I was going to transfer to school Y was constantly in my mind. I was constantly thinking about it. I'll tell you a brief story. The freshman fall in college, and granted, guys, I was some D2, as we call it in Discord, dog water football player, okay? Was not anything near what we're talking about at the level of these individuals that we're talking about getting recruited at the Power 5 level. Okay, in my freshman spring, I had 3 coaches leave the coaching staff of the one that I was playing for. Guess what all 3 of those coaches did, whether it was against NCAA rules or not? When they landed on their feet at a new program, guess what they did? They went through their phone book and called every single player from my school, including me, that they thought they could pillage from their previous roster. Is it against NCAA rules? Yeah, it is. It 100% is. Do people care? No. No, they do not. They care about winning football games. And again, I'm some dog water football player at a D2 school. We're talking about guys like A. Rick Gilbert that even before they probably put their name in the NCAA transfer portal was getting absolutely blown up on their cell phone constantly. They started the recruitment process all back over. And then when he did hit the portal, things got even crazier with that young man's cell phone and with that young man's, he can't even get on social media. These kids do check their mentions. Okay, guess what? They do search their names, and I don't blame them because guess who else does? Me. Every once in a while, when I'm feeling a little self-conscious, when it's 1 o'clock at night and I can't quite go to sleep, I want to know if people are calling me a douchebag on social media. A, so I can laugh. B, because I know what's happening and I want to know who it's happening from. Same thing with these kids, man. I get likes and retweets on things from tweets that I tweeted about Georgia football players months before. But they're searching their name because there's this new medium called social media where you can find out what everybody thinks about you because they're all talking about you. And you can't do anything about it except for read it, feel bad about yourself. Or you can choose to ignore it. But I'll tell you what, most kids aren't. Okay, so again, we've got to open a line of dialogue, whether it be players telling us what their thoughts and feelings are at all times. And I know it sounds soft, right? Everybody says, this new generation, they're so soft. This new generation is dealing with more before they're 20 years old than most people would have to deal with in terms of body or, self-consciousness, right? In terms of people talking about them and people having opinions about them, okay? There was previous generations that were asked to do much, much more before they turned 18 or as they turned 18 than my generation will ever even imagine. There's this thing called the draft, right? Okay, totally different discussion. Those were hardened men by the time they went off to war. This ain't going off to war, but it's mentally draining and mentally taxing in a much different light for these young men. I think we just need to talk about it just a little bit more, like I said. And for me, man, I just hope that A-Rick Gilbert gets back to doing what he loves, right, which is playing football, okay? But I also hope he understands that there's things that he has to do in order to keep him on the football field, and they're not all revolving around football. One of them has to do with passing classes. It's a requirement, okay? For you to be able to play college football, you have to pass college courses, at least 12 credit hours per semester. If you want to be eligible for the spring semester to practice, you have to pass at least 12 hours. If you want to be eligible for the fall semester to play football games, you have to pass at least 12 hours of classes. It's the bare minimum, okay? You don't have to get a 4.0 in them. You have to pass them. That's it. Okay, so until that happens, this is a mute discussion. But the discussion that needs to be had is, why isn't he doing those things? Okay, because when he was in high school, it wasn't a problem. Okay, when he was in high school, you couldn't find a negative thing to say about the nation's number one tight end, the greatest tight end prospect we've seen since Vernon Davis. No questions. No questions about it. He's the highest caliber. He's the only tight end in the history of the Gatorade Player of the Year award. It's been given out 25 years. The only tight end ever to even be mentioned, let alone win it, is A-Rick Gilbert. He's an extremely, immensely talented young individual. He's got some things that need to be cleaned up before he can get back onto the football field. And to me, that's the most important thing, right? I want to see the young man do what he loves and do what he does best, which is dominate on a football field. But it starts with A-Rick Gilbert, but the conversation is much, much larger than that. It's not just A-Rick Gilbert that may or may not be struggling with, added pressure from people around him, or added pressure from the coaches that he's now playing for, or added pressure from the coaches that are trying to take him away from the program that he's playing for currently and bring them onto his program. Okay? There's added pressures everywhere. And instead of going to your timeline and just saying, oh, he's a bad apple or he's a bad seed, let's figure out what's going on first. Let's have an open dialogue. Let's be willing to have an open conversation about, again, a young man who's 19 years old. Okay? I don't know about you guys. I was making dumb decisions when I was 19. Dicko. Dumb decisions at 19? Not the best ones, right? Okay, so let's give him some time. And honestly, it reminds me of another highly talented guy that I didn't personally have an up-close personal relationship with, but my brother watched it firsthand. For those who don't know, my brother played college baseball at Auburn. Okay? When you're a Division I prospect, when you're a Division I athlete, you mingle with other Division I athletes. His freshman year on campus was Cam Newton's only year on campus at Auburn. The spring semester, when Cam enrolled and was walking around campus, everybody loved Cam, but only a couple people knew who he was because he was the highly touted transfer quarterback coming in. So when people bumped into Cam Newton, it was, hey, Cam, how you doing? And Cam was the light of the world, like he always is. Big smile on his face, infectious personality. Talking to everybody, shaking hands and kissing babies, as they would say. After the national championship game, before he left to go to the NFL draft, he had to walk around campus with a massive hood on, with big Beats earphones on, and hands in his pockets as hidden as possibly could be. Because everybody wanted something from him. Everybody was pulling on him. Everybody wanted an autograph. Everybody wanted a selfie. Everybody wanted a picture. Everybody wanted something from him. Nobody stopped and asked, hey, Cam, how's your day going, man? How you doing? You all right? Never happens for these kids. It's always, what can you do for me? That's why. That's why I have a problem with all these things. We are taking phone calls today. I know I went a little long on A-Rick Gilbert, but I think the young man needs some – I know he's getting enough love. I know people are reaching out for him, but I think people need to take a step back before they just immediately make a harsh decision or a harsh judgment on who a young man is, because you probably don't know. You probably really don't know. Neither do I, for a matter of fact. I just know that it's hard. It's hard. It's a lot demanded of these young men all the time. Speaking of demands and expectations, Georgia's got some pretty big ones heading into 2021, right? Some really big ones. Some really big ones. And to me, I don't know about you guys, but do you know that guy that's always stuck in the friend zone? Or maybe it's you. You've been stuck in the friend zone. You know exactly how it is, right? You're sweet on some girl, and even though you know, and she knows that you're in the friend zone, she always does something to keep you hanging on, right? Keep you lingering, keep you chasing that dream of maybe getting out of the friend zone. She always flirts with you just enough to make you think, hey, the next time she's single, the next time her boyfriend messes around and does something he ain't supposed to, I'm going to be there. I'm going to capitalize on that opportunity. It's my time now, right? Well, to me, that's Georgia football, and that's Georgia football's fan base. Okay? You've been told so many times that crush of yours is going to be yours. Hey, next year is your year. Just wait. We'll get you there. Okay? Next year's the one, right? You've always been promised. You've always had hope, and it's left you scarred. Really, really scarred as a fan base. Very, very sensitive to expectations. So when I come out and I say things like the expectation for 2021 for Georgia should be a national title. The demand should be a national title. When I come out and say things like Georgia's not going to have 1,000-yard receiver, but they have a chance to have two 1,200-yard receivers. Everybody on my timeline, every Georgia fan you know says, Brooks, hold the expectations, man. Quit selling me the pipe dream. Because for so long, you've been in the friend zone. For so long, that girl that you've been daunting for since 1981 has been flirting with you. Has been running off with Clemson, has been running off with Alabama, has been running off with Florida, and they've been showing you brief signs of hope every once in a while. Only for 2nd and 26 to break up with you, right? Only for 2nd and 26 to break your heart. It happens every single time. You're in the friend zone, and that's okay. And Dick, I think we got a phone line coming in, so hold that until I get done with this rant, okay? Again, expectations are no different than the girl that you love so much that you want to get after or you want to be with, sticking you in the friend zone. And I'm all thrown off for my take here, but that's okay. But I'm telling you right now, that Adonis, that girl that you've been after since 1981, that's been bouncing around between Clemson and Alabama and Ohio State and Florida for 3 decades now, all while flirting with you just enough to keep the hopes up, why shouldn't 2021 be your year? Why shouldn't the expectations be a title? That's my question. You're returning 16 starters, far and away more than any of the national title contending teams. More than Alabama, more than Clemson, more than Ohio State. All of them. I think even more than Oklahoma that everyone seems to have big hopes and high dreams for in 2021. Okay? You're returning almost all of your coaches, all but one. You've got a standard or a very consistent coaching staff that the athletic department shelled out millions of dollars, not figuratively, literally, millions of dollars to not only bring back guys that they needed to keep, but add on pivotal pieces like Will Muschamp for $350,000, right? Athletic department's all in. You're returning all your coaches except for one. You've got arguably one of the top quarterbacks in the country. I don't care what Pro Football Focus says about their top 10 returning quarterbacks. I care because it was funny. It drove some content on my website because it was asinine to come out here and say 10 quarterbacks are better than JT Daniels. I'll do it better. You can't find me 3 quarterbacks in college football returning that are better than JT Daniels. Facts, in my opinion. That's funny. It's a funny statement. Facts, in my opinion. But you get what I'm saying. Okay? You've got a bevy of weapons on offense. Your defense is as stout as ever, at least in terms of the front 7. Yeah, there's some questions to answer in the defensive backfield, but the national title expectations are there. You should have them. You should demand them. Matter of fact, Kirby Smart and that staff and that football team should be walking around those facilities with those expectations. They should drive and work every single day with the expectations of winning a national title. That's how things should operate at that program this year. And if they're not, quite frankly, I think that's a shortcoming. I think that's the leave them on hold. You're good. I think that should be the expectations. Those should be the thought processes walking around the campus and walking around that facility. As for my opinion about 1,200 yards for 2 receivers, look, guys, JT Daniels averaged around 310 yards per game through 4 games last year. If you extrapolate that through a 12-game regular season schedule, you're looking at 3,700 yards. Add in an SEC title game, potentially 2 playoff games, playing for a national title. We're talking about 15 games at about 300 yards a clip. JT Daniels should go over 4,000 yards or passing next year. Easy. 4,000 yards. Why am I asinine? Why am I overhyping the program to tell you that Georgia's top 2 wide receivers will go over 1,200 yards? When history says over the last 2 years, if your quarterback goes over 4,000 yards, you have 2 receivers that not go over 1,200, but go over 1,500 yards receiving. Just because you haven't seen it before, just because you've been promised year in and year out that you're going to get out of the friend zone doesn't mean that this won't be the time, right? The ex-boyfriend, Alabama's reloading everybody. They've got a new offensive coordinator. They've got new offensive analysts. They've got a new offensive line coach for the first time in a long time. Clemson, new starting quarterback, first time in 3 years. Ohio State, new starting quarterback for the first time in 2 years. Where's it at? Where is the team that you shouldn't beat, right? It's okay to have high expectations. It's okay. And if they don't win, you should be let down. That's okay. Okay, this isn't a year where you're walking into a season with Joe Cox as your starting quarterback, and you've still got that fan of yours and buddy of yours that's a Georgia fan telling you that this is our year. No, that one wasn't. 2021 is. So be comfortable with the expectations. And I hope our next caller is comfortable with that. We already hung up. We lost him. That's all good, man. It's all good. I'll rant a little bit. Hopefully they'll call back. It's a 305 number. So 305, hit us back if you are here. I'm here for I understand, right? I understand that it's a common joke. Next year is our year. I get it. But next year really is your year. And again, you guys know me. If you've watched any of these shows before, I could care. Go ahead. I could care less. Could honestly care less. If Georgia wins, great. It's great for our content. If Georgia has another 10-2 season, it's still good for our content. We're good here? All right, 305. My man.
Yeah, what's good, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Just wanted to rant a little bit. I enjoy your videos as well, learning a lot. And I see, I just want to get your take on this. My take is our biggest, how can I put it?
Concern?
Stumbling block, concern for next year to me is our offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being, well, I'm going to just call them out. The two players that concern me the most are in our leadership positions in Jamari and Justin Schaefer. I understand Jamari in the left tackle role struggled as well. He's a really offensive guard. But when he got offensive guard, he was still getting whooped on a consistent basis. As well as Justin Schaefer plays way too overly aggressive to me, unbalanced a lot at times, but pretty good in the run blocking game. I feel like our offensive line could hinder JT Daniels from having a monster year. What's your take on that?
So I think you've got a couple of things working for you, right, at Georgia this year in terms of worrying about your offensive line play. One, you do have an experienced quarterback. JT at this point has played, I think, 18 college football games. Somebody has 16, 17 college football games, and he's really smart, and he's got good pocket awareness too. So even if something were to happen, if offensive line were to go to just absolute crap, I think there are ways for him to take advantage of that. And you've got an offensive coordinator that's smart enough to get you out of those things. The other thing I feel comfortable about saying is, based off my film evaluation, and you guys watched it, and you sound like a person that's been around for a little while when it comes to our content, I thought every single week, if there was an error against Arkansas, they had assignment issues. They were blowing assignments left and right. Against Auburn, they came out, played a very simplistic game plan, and whooped butt, right? They lined up, just played football. The next week against Tennessee, they tried to incorporate counter. Counter looked terrible if you watched our film studies against Tennessee. Right. Well, they went to Alabama, and they opened the game against Alabama with a counter play. Zamir White takes off for 25, 30 yards. I'm telling you that to tell you this. I don't have questions about whether or not Matt Luke can make adjustments and make his offensive line better as the season progresses. So if it looks, kind of bad, if you stumble out of the blocks against Clemson, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so I do trust that. Now, as far as your concerns about Jamari Sawyer and Justin Schaefer, I'm here with you. Okay, I want to know this offseason, did Jamari get himself back into shape? If you guys remember, coming into the season, we wrote plenty of articles about Jamari Sawyer at one point being under 300 pounds because he knew he was going to play tackle. He knew he had to be light and thin. He was training with Andrew Thomas, got really, really thin, looked great. Well, if you look at him in the Peach Bowl, yeah, he wasn't no 305 pounds. So that's what I want to watch for Jamari. And for Justin, now that you have a full season of starting underneath your belt, hey, can we play with just a tad bit less aggressiveness? Can we play, under control just a little bit more? If he does that, I think you're going to be okay. And honestly, everything I hear about guys like Xavier Truss are great. The information I'm getting out of camp early on and out of the offseason workouts early on is that Xavier Truss is as advertised. He just needed more reps. And is going to get those this year, and we'll see what the young bloods do as they come up. So you have reasons to be concerned about the offensive line, but you also have signs of a good coaching staff that's going to take care of it and balanced weapons around it to maybe hide the light that's going to be shined on that offensive line unit. Make sense?
Right, yeah, it makes sense. One more thing, BA, as well as for me, I'm not on the train with everybody else when they're saying their concern is our DBs. To be honest, after watching Eric Stokes, which is he's going to be first, second round draft pick. You got to think about it. Eric Stokes, Mark Webb, a lot of our DBs outside of Richard LeCount were really just physical guys that could cover. You know, they were average covers or whatever, average in coverage. I feel like with Keeley coming in, Nyland Green, and a lot of our other DB prospects, we're going to have a lot of interceptions coming this year. We have a lot of more athleticism at that position, and we have just straight up ball hawks. What do you think about that?
You know, I know I get everybody's concern again about corner, right? Because you hear young, inexperienced. There's not a single career start in that cornerbacks room. Period. Amir Speed's played in like 18 or 20 games, but he's never made a start. He's always been on special teams or been in mop-up duty as a corner. Keeley, obviously injured all year last year, didn't play at all. Jalen Kimber got some mop-up duty as well. Nyland Green, no career starts. There's no experience there, right? But Here's my thing. Tony Grimes, say what you want, played relatively well as an early enrollee as a defensive back in North Carolina this year as a beyond true freshman, as a senior in high school basically. Derek Stingley, I thought, was the best corner in college football as a true freshman at LSU. Elias Ricks played, all-American caliber football as a true freshman at LSU. One thing that this 7-on-7, say what you want about 7-on-7, it's taught kids how to cover. They're ready. They are ready to go in. If nothing else, they're ready to play man-to-man against any receiver because they've been doing it since they were 12, 13 years old. They've been training man-to-man techniques forever. That's what Georgia runs. If Georgia wants to take Keeley Ringo and say, Keeley, you've got no other responsibilities tonight other than going out there and locking down John Mechie. Well, guess what? He's going to go out there and do it. He has the ability to do that. Now, the questions become, hey, what happens if Latavius Burnett gets hurt? Like, what happens? Because now we got a young guy playing star that may or may not know the entire playbook. That's a problem. If that happens, you've got some major concerns about what's going on in Georgia's back end. But in terms of the young guys, I'm not worried about the young guys' ability to cover because I know what Nyland Green can do as a cover corner. I know what Keeley Ringo can do as a cover corner. I know what Jalen Kimber can do as a cover corner. No concerns to me. The concerns would be, hey, do we have the complexity that we previously had with older defensive backs? Do we run as many boundary corner blitzes? Do we run as many complex coverages? Do we do things like that? That would be my question if I'm a Georgia fan heading into 2021. My man, do you got anything else for me?
Yes, sir. I got them all day. Hey, just a little nugget. I'm thinking like this. When you're deep as I am when it comes down to watching these highlight tapes and huddle films, I thought about the injury situation. If we did have an injury at the DB position, what do you think? This is kind of outside. This is kind of crazy. But what do you think? Hey, we throw in Damari Carroll at DB. He played a lot of DB in high school. He was pretty quick.
You talking about Lavassier Carroll?
Lavassier Carroll. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't give the nugs out for free, but the Patreon folks know all about that one. I see you, my man. I see you trying to bait me on my live show right now. Nah, he's talking about Lavassier Carroll. I got the full details up on Patreon, and we were talking about it in the Discord, 2 weeks ago, Dicko? A while ago. It's been a while. He's been over there for a minute now. But I got to go, man. I appreciate you for calling tonight, my man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, great job tonight. Golf clap from my man right there, one of our better callers. Hey, look, I'm here to shoot the bull with anybody. We'll talk for as long as I can manage to talk to you. So that's good. Sounds like we got some. I ain't been reading YouTube comments, but it sounds like we got some toxic Bama folks up in the YouTube comments. Which, for that matter, wherever you guys are, however you found it, I appreciate you for being here. And if you will, go hit that like button, right? Go hit that subscribe. We do this all the time. We do this all the time. If you guys want to talk some trash, I'm more than willing to engage as long as you're not being reckless and ruthless. If you're being cordial and you're being, intelligent about the way in which you handle yourselves in the comment sections, I'm cool with it. I don't feel the need to make, Big Brother Ditko over there get into the YouTube comments and start censoring folks, even though I do have to censor some folks in the Discord every once in a while because y'all be getting too reckless. So don't come at me with that one. All right, last segment of the night, and you guys know I always save the best for last, or at least try to. Always write a show script. I think I know how it's going to go, and then as I'm writing it, I feel far more passionate about one topic, so we move that to the end. And that final topic for tonight is the star system, the ranking system. Everybody wants to know, is so-and-so a 5-star? Is so-and-so a 4-star? Why is so-and-so only a 3-star? Yada, 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 yada. Everybody cares about rankings, right? Players care about rankings. Coaches care about rankings. Prospects care about rankings. Parents care about rankings. I get asked all the time, Brooks, what does my son have to do to get some stars? What does my son need to do to go up in star level? To which I typically respond, sorry, don't mean to be that guy, but I don't work for either one of those companies that hands out these mythical stars. And honestly, if you knew me pretty personally, based off the tone of this opening segment of this rant, you would know that I don't really give a flying fart about stars. Never have, probably never will. Nonetheless, parents, you're asking the questions, so I'll address them right here for, forever. So you don't have to ask me anymore, even though I thoroughly enjoy discussions like this with parents. Let me tell you something. Never in the history of the source and lifeblood that is high school recruiting rankings has Rivals or 24/7 suddenly slapped a 4-star ranking on somebody that's never received an offer from a college football program. It's never happened before, ever. Never would you see a random 4-star of 24/7 or Rivals, quote-unquote, discovering a prospect. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Never once in the history of 24/7 sports have they given out a ranking to a player that hadn't long been discovered by college programs everywhere. I promise you. If college programs were chasing recruiting services, the whole system would come down, like just tumbling down. It would be awful. Okay, they wouldn't be very good at their jobs. If a product or a recruiting coordinator at Georgia or Alabama or Clemson or even Coastal Carolina was trailing some recruiting service and recruiting rankings to find out who they should go after, that's asinine. That's backwards. That's called hustling backwards. That's exactly what that is. So let me explain to you how the industry actually works. You ready? Okay, here's the process. A college scouts and offers a prospect. Okay, a program offers a prospect. The prospect then goes to social media and posts that offer. That program that offered that prospects, now competition, right? The people in their conference go, maybe I should check this kid out. So what they do is they go offer the kid. The kid then tweets that offer out. Okay, and now all of a sudden, all these mid-major programs are offering this prospect. So guess what happens? They start showing up on the radar of these media scouts, right? Guys like me, recruiting analysts. Okay, they start popping up on our board. When you've got Troy and you've got East Carolina, and you've got Western Kentucky, and you've got yada, 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 yada. It's called offer tracking. That's all it is. I'm tracking your offers. Who's offering you? Who's interested in you? And guess who else is doing it? College programs. They want to know too. They track your offers. That's all it is. And here's how it works. You get bombarded with Georgia State, Coastal Carolina, Troy, etc. Mid-major offers out the wazoo. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be ranked a 3-star. They're going to give you the 3-star ranking because guess what? Now you're on D1 mid-major college football programs board. They found that out based off you and simple offer tracking. So you get loaded up with mid-major offers, you're a 3-star recruit. Simple. Easy as that, right? Doesn't get any lower than 3 stars. We'll give him a 3-star. He's D1 caliber. We'll monitor it, but we'll give him a 3-star. Now, the next level, right? The 4-star, the mythical 4-star. Well, you get bombarded with Georgia Tech. Now Illinois hops in. Louisville jumps in the mix. And suddenly, you're a Georgia product, you're a Peach State product, and Georgia hops in the mix. Gives you not only an offer, but a committable offer. And you jump right on it. You commit to the University of Georgia. And then suddenly, boom, the 3-star that just committed to the University of Georgia, whose 6 months ago only offer was Akron, now all of a sudden, you're a 4-star. And you're a top 250 player, whereas a month ago, prior to your commitment to Georgia, you were ranked the 436th player in the country. These aren't just vague details. I'm looking at you, Donovan Westmoreland. That's exactly what happened. He was 490th, whatever, prospect in America. He commits to Georgia. All of a sudden, no new tape, no new film, no new camps, no new measurables, no new bench press, no new 40 time, no new information other than the fact that Georgia wanted him, and Georgia gave him the green light. Now all of a sudden he just jumped up 200 spots in the rankings. You follow me? You follow me? Okay, and then, there's the 5 stars, right? The 5 stars. Well, 5 stars it's hard to design or to select which guys get 5 stars, because when you get to that level, it actually becomes a scouting job. Okay, look, guys, the industry is entirely too big for one company or one group of companies to even think that they can put a hold on it. There are thousands and thousands of Division I caliber football players across the country, and there's about 20 recruiting analysts at these companies. Tops. Okay, I'll just tell you from my experience. I cover the state of Georgia and the state of Georgia alone. That is it. Okay, I think we had 13 guys in the SI 99 last year from the state of Georgia. I think we had 140 guys that were SI All-American candidates. I'll be 100% honest with you. I didn't see all 140 of those guys. It's impossible. I'm one man. Okay? It's impossible. You can't see everybody. So you do have to resort to offer tracking. You do have to resort to, who's offering the kid. That's it. That's all you got. It's not going out and discovering guys. It's not going out and actually truly putting a ranking on them. It's judging the market based off of who is paying attention to the kid. Okay? So parents, if you will, and I know I've been really long on this, don't come to me and ask, when is my son going to get a star? Players, don't come to me and ask, when am I going to get my star? When am I going to get my due? What you need to start asking is, what do I need to do to get a committable offer? What do I need to do to get an offer from Troy? What do I need to do to get an offer from Coastal Carolina? Because if you get those offers, by God, you'll get the 3 stars. Okay? And if you get offers from Georgia, Georgia Tech, and LSU and Alabama, you'll get the 4 stars. And then if you have a committable offer to every single one of those schools, if you have a choice of your school to go anywhere you want, guess what? You'll probably be a 5-star. And does it really matter? At the end of the day, does it matter? Do you have a committable offer? That's all that matters. Your star ranking doesn't matter. Now, sure. Does it help your profile, your brand? Does it help your, household name awareness, the ability for you to create a brand for yourself? For yourself to be ranked a 5-star, 100%. It's great for your brand. It's great for your brand to be ranked a 3-star. Don't get me wrong. Those services do serve a purpose. They're there for a reason. But what you don't need to be doing is get hung up thinking that, getting the 3-star will get me an offer. I'll tell you a story. I had a parent come to me the other day, and they said, Brooks, so-and-so is on the verge of getting his 3rd star. Do you think that'll make Georgia recruit him? And I laughed. He's like, why are you laughing? I said, look, dude, I've had conversations with Georgia. They know who your son is. They're recruiting your son. They've evaluated your son. Some 3 stars, some 4 stars, not going to all of a sudden magically make Georgia want to give your kid an offer. No, new film does, okay? Statistical production in your high school season does, okay? Things like that. The stuff that matters to college programs ends up getting you that next offer. So don't worry about it, okay? Your star ranking does not impact where you're going to college, period. Your film does, your physical profile does, your ability to brand yourself and put film out of yourself gives you that. We got a phone line right here. Let's get to it. My man, you are on the air with the film guy. I don't know how I want to do that, but what you got for me?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Great. I was watching first minute, then I got busy, had some stuff going on. We're talking about transfer. I don't know if you had talked about, what did you think of, because of Georgia losing as much as they did at corner, and Darion Kendrick from Clemson hit the transfer portal. I was wondering, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, here's my thing. When you are trying to aspire to have a championship culture and an opposing program that also walks around with championship expectations and championship culture, when they are willing to let an all ACC caliber corner walk out of their program, literally walk out of the program, some would say ask to leave the program, that's probably not somebody that you want in your locker room, right? If Dabo Swinney is willing to let his starting corner walk out of the door, I'm going to tell you what, you probably don't want to do it. Now, if you are absolutely in dire need, let's say tomorrow Keely Ringo has to have shoulder surgery again. If something like that were to happen, then yeah, maybe you take a gamble on that and hope that your overall team culture is good enough to handle whatever it is that's going on. But if it's not, then you just, put gasoline on a fire that you didn't even know had started. So if it were me, knowing that what Georgia has in that corner room, I wouldn't touch it. There's no reason for it. I'm of the firm belief they didn't even go after Drayshawn Miller, who, by all accounts, the young man that just committed to Auburn, one of the best corners in college football, and from my understanding has no issues, none. Just wanted out of West Virginia. They didn't really go after him, from what I was told. But what you got?
Defensive backs coach was also one who came
100%, right? Adai was right there, and they didn't go after him, from what I'm saying, or from what I know. So if they didn't make a push on that kid, they're definitely not making a push after the All-ACC corner. I wouldn't imagine, that just got asked basically to leave his current program. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
You got anything else for me, my man?
No. Well, I was gonna add on to the Reed Gilbert. Yeah, it kind of worked out. Now I guess the Georgia ended up getting Darnell instead of Arik, because I know those were both guys that Georgia was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if it's like. I mean, hindsight's always great, right? But I guarantee you, even right now, and he wouldn't tell you, but I guarantee if you set that staff down and made them be honest, put them on truth serum and said, hey, going back, you can take either, both of them want to come here. You can take either Arik Gilbert or Darnell Washington. Knowing all of even what they know now, I'm pretty sure they would still take Arik. He's that talented. Darnell's great, but Arik is a generational type talent. Anything else, my man?
Well, also is the other issue why they couldn't get Arik is there are just too many mouths to feed at the tight end position, like running back. There are too many guys.
It's getting there. It's especially now with Brock Bowers in the mix. But I have a good feeling, and based off what Georgia did last year, they ran a lot of 12 personnel. They played 2 tight ends at one time, a lot of the time last year. So there's room to be on the field. There's playing time available. So we'll see what ends up happening. I appreciate you calling in, my man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Some good phone calls tonight. You guys are a lot more talkative. Don't have like a bet or a plethora of call-ins tonight, but the ones that have been in here, have been meaningful callers and been hanging around and willing to talk tonight, which is nice to know. But I think that's going to be it for us tonight here on NBR. Great show. I feel like we did a good job tonight. Take it easy on 18-year-old kids, man. Take it easy on 19-year-old kids. Take it easy on the next media guy that tells you Georgia should win a national title. And just agree with them. And finally be okay with having those expectations and those expectations to be warranted. And finally, last but certainly not least, parents, players, please stop caring about rankings. Don't. Care about developing a relationship with the coach that wants you on the next level. That's all that matters. Care about developing your game. Care about developing your body to where coaches can't do anything but want you on their football team. Coaches can't do anything but offer you scholarships. That's what you should be concerned about, not whether or not you're ranked. Because guess what? If you get an offer from Georgia, your ranking will mystically increase. If you get an offer from Alabama, your ranking will mystically increase. Guys, there's been multiple fake player profiles created because some troll on Twitter went and said they got created a profile for some fake football player and said that they got an offer from Alabama. Next thing you know, pops up with a 3-star ranking on 24/7 Sports or Rivals or whichever one. It happens all the time. Why? Because it's too big of a machine. It's too big. It'll never be small enough for an entire company to have a hold on it. Okay? That's what recruiting analysts' jobs are at actual programs. Their job is to go find the player worthy of a Georgia offer. Their job is to go find the player that is worthy of a mythical 5-star ranking. You feel me? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. NBR. We will see you guys next week on NBR. Appreciate you.